think that we're to the point where it's not even worth going this route because AI automation is just taking over everything? I mean, it's the new buzzword in the agency space, AAA agencies, AI automation. Like, what's your thoughts around AI?
Yeah, it definitely won't take over. And people will laugh at me for saying, like, the thing about it is that, and by the way, like, I'm not biased towards, because like the program I've built helps agencies with call centers. So if AI really does become the new thing and it's like amazing and it's incredible, I will just pivot into teaching people how to implement AI with humans. I can just pivot very easily. So I'm not saying this because I want to, like, I'm trying to like protect my business or anything like that, just so everyone's aware.
Yeah.
I'm being honest about it. So the thing about the AI is that at the moment, it's not good enough to build that connection like I was talking about. So everyone always flexes their booking rates when it comes to, oh, my AI got a 40% booking rate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, what's the show rate? Like, I'm really curious to know what the show rate is, because the show rate's going to be terrible. If someone turns up at your house and hands you something compared to just send you an email, like, you're going to feel way more like, oh, thanks, I appreciate you sending me, like, giving me that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what people want to, it's like when I watch ads sometimes, like, if I feel like someone's made a load of effort in an ad, I'm like, I'm more likely to actually like consider opting in, because I'm like, they obviously care about me. Not only do they care about me, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they care about my opt-in. Where someone's just like some boring ad or something, I'm like, they haven't even thought about it. Or even like cold DM messaging.
Most agency owners think more appointments equal more success. But my guest today says that mindset is killing your show rate. It's burning through your ad spend and it's crushing your client retention. His name is Arin Darcan. He's the founder of Call Center Mastery. He's the guy behind the call systems used by Alex Hormozi's Gem Launch and other 8-figure agencies. He's helped build entire setter teams for agencies all over the world. And now he teaches other people how to do the exact same systems and methods he came up with. It's more than just getting leads booked. It's about what happens when they don't show up and how to finally fix your client retention issues. Arin, welcome to Making Millions. Let's do this.
That was great. That was a really good intro. That's probably the best I've ever heard about myself. I feel good. Thank you. That was awesome.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, you know, Arin, I know we've known each other for a bit now. You've definitely helped me and my team out with our call center and all of that. But take me back to, why did you get into this? Why did you start building out this system for yourself and then eventually for other agency owners?
Yeah, so I used to run an e-com agency back when I like first started business stuff, when I quit my job. I had a business partner. We grew the e-com agency to like, I think it was like 150 a month at its peak. But the problem is our product was so bad. Like, we used to white label, subcontract everything. E-com brands would join us, and then within 2 months they'd be leaving. And it was just this really messy situation. My business partner as well wasn't the best person in the world. So we ended up just splitting. And at the time I was like, I don't want to just follow the crowd and just start an agency. What can I do in the agency space? I've got a lot of experience, but at the same time, not actually just start an agency. And from my experience, even with ecom, we did a bit of lead gen as well with that agency, as a kind of a bit of a rounded mix of clients. And so with that, I always noticed that clients never phone their leads. And I spoke to a lot of my friends who are agency owners, and they were all saying about clients not phoning their leads, And the problem is that everyone is blaming their clients. Everyone was just saying, oh, how do I get my clients to follow up? And it got to a point where I thought, well, actually, what if we just did it for them, right? What if we just phoned them for them? And I thought it'd be really simple. I thought it'd be some super simple thing, hire a few appointment setters. And so that's what I started doing. I worked with some agency owners. I had one friend in particular who was like, I need help with this now. He gave me like my first couple of like clients to work with him. And it was really good. We started getting loads of appointments booked in, and I was like, why don't I do this for other agency owners? And so I just started kind of doing like a white label call center. And I didn't really have any call center experience before that. I just jumped into it, and just over time, over like 2-3 years, obviously getting my client roster even bigger, working with clients like Gym Launch, I just learned so much about that whole space. And that's how we got here.
Fantastic. I mean, how did you land such a big whale like Gem Launch? I know that there's gonna be tons of people who are like, oh my gosh, the GOAT, how did we get to Alex Hormozi? So any strategies around getting to big whale clients like that?
Oh, I got lucky. It's one of the things. I'm already going to go into a little tangent here, but like the whole luck thing, right? I think I made a video about this before, where it's essentially like the way luck and work together is the luck is obviously, if you go to a roulette table, right, and you're playing roulette, the luck is if you hit your number, right? That's just lucky. But the amount of times you get to try and hit your number is the work, right? So there are some people that work all their lives, they work on kind of the wrong things, and they do something, and they just never get anywhere, right? There are other people that will start one business and then bam, everything takes off, right? Because they just got the right niche at the right time, whatever it is. And so how I see it is, like I said, the spinning of the ball and trying to hit the number is the lucky part of it, but how many times you get to go. So for example, if I say to you, right, you've got to guess the number, you get one go, you've got 1 in 36 chance, right?
Yeah.
Or 1 in 37 chance. If you get 100 times to do it, then you're probably going to hit your number at least a couple of times, right? So that's basically what it is. So like, I got lucky. How I got the client was through Joel Kaplan. So I joined Agency Lab, and I joined like their highest membership, and I got a one-on-one call with him. I explained what I did. I showed him what I did. I had all the work kind of to prove what I was doing, and then he was like, "Oh, I got a client that I think could be really good for you guys." And I was like, "Everyone says that. Go on then." He was like, "You know Jim Launch?" I was like, "Who?" And he connected me with one of the GM, and we had a bunch of conversations, went back and forward. And in the end, I showed them everything I had. They could tell I was really genuine. And I just said, look, if you give me this project, like I will work full time on it. Like I will make sure it succeeds. I will not stop until it succeeds. And the guy was like, all right, cool, let's do it. So I got one project with them to begin with. Did well on that project. They then gave me like 3. Did well on the 3 projects. And at the same time, they were testing so many other call centers as well. Gym Launch don't really care about, like, they care about results. So it doesn't matter kind of what loyalty you build with them. Like, they will always be testing new ways of doing things and trying to find better ways than you. So they're constantly reiterating things and trying to test things. So you always have to be at the top of your game and always like bring the best. But 2-3 years later, we're still working with them, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned just something right there, loyalty versus what's actually working. And that Gem Launch, has that mentality. It's that sales framework mentality of always cutting the bottom of your sales team. I think they're just applying that to business as well. Do you think that when people are like agency owners are trying to work with other service providers that they should have more of that mindset and mentality? Or do you think that there is room for, hey, I've known this person, I've worked with this person for a long time, maybe they had a little hiccup, let's get back on track? Like there's room for loyalty there. And what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think there is room for loyalty. There was a quote, I forgot who said it. It might have been Simon Sinek. I can't remember who it was now. But I heard someone that they were saying that when you've got an employee that works with you for, let's say, like 10 years, and they've weathered all the storms with you and they're doing all this stuff, right? Yeah. Then you hire a new person and they've been with you for 3 months and they're doing the exact same job. The new person and the 10-year-old person doing the exact same job. But the 10-year-old person is making double the money than the 3-month person. And the 3-month person might say, this isn't fair, I'm doing the same job. Why is he making twice as much money as me? Well, it's because I know I can trust him in times of hardship. I know that they're going to stick with me in the hard times, and they're battle-proven. They've shown me that they're loyal. So that's why they get the extra money, because I know that I can trust them when it gets hard. And so I think it does matter. Like if one of my teams started slipping up today, I wouldn't instantly just be like, oh, sorry, you're out. Because even my current sales guy, like he's a great guy and he does a good job. He closed lots of deals. If he started underperforming tomorrow, I'm not going to cut him from a team like I would someone else who's new, because he's been with me from the start when we've had really bad lead flow. He's always just stuck with me and always just like helped me through it, and we got through it together. And so there's definitely a balance to it. I don't think you should just be cutting people. But with Gym Launch, again, there's a balance to it. And every business owner gets to decide where that line is, And with Gym Launch, like it is a kick in the teeth when I'm spending 6 months to 9 months working pretty much full time with them, really massively overdoing like everything I can. And then they send me a message like, hey man, just so you know, we can also try this other call center. I'm like, it's like, it's great. It's not nice, but it is what it is.
Yeah. There was some recent videos that I was watching on YouTube, to some other podcasts and things, where people that made, millions, lots of money at the expense of relationships often go back and look at that whole entire journey to get to all that revenue and realize that it wasn't worth the amount of relationships and the people that they had to mow over, or, just treat them as if they were objects to get to that end goal. And I think that that's a really important thing. It has been in my life, as you make money, there has to be a thought, at least in my mind, that, money is a tool, but it's not the end of the rainbow. If you're looking at it and objectifying it that way, it's never going to satisfy you as a person.
It also means that, like, if you're treating your staff poorly and like you're only looking at the numbers, you're not going to encourage the loyalty that you can get. So like, for example, my management team, they've been with me for like 3-4 years now, and they are incredible. Like, they're really good. I shouldn't say this, but when people ask me like, oh, how much are you paying them? Like, oh, when I tell them, they're like, what? As in like, it's a lot lower than you'd expect. But it's because, and they say to me all the time, they're like, you're just not, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear or not, but like, you're not a dick to work with, right? You're not not an arsehole. You're like, and if one of my team, quick example, one of my team is going through some health problems at the moment. She messaged me saying, hey, my doctor said that I can have like an urgent appointment that I need. I can have it tomorrow, but I said I'd like to speak to you first and see if I can have a day off to go to the appointment. Like, can you let me know? And I got her on a call and I was like, don't ever message me asking, can you have a day off when it comes to your health? Like, it's your health. Yeah. That is like more important than any crap we're doing here. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, if your doctor, especially I know what her condition is, not like she's got a cold, she's got a real thing. It's like, if you need to take a day off to go to the doctor, assume that I'm always okay with it. You know, if for any reason you're taking weeks off at a time, you know, then we'll discuss it. You know, we've got to figure it out. But she works really hard. If the doctor says, hey, I've got an appointment right now, I need you to tell me right now, can you do it? You tell him you can do it, and you don't worry about me. We'll figure it out after, right? We've got a team that can cover you. Don't worry about it. And then when you do stuff like that, because they're not used to it, especially if you're working with people in the Philippines, like Latin America, like they're used to like these egotistical bosses that just boss them around and whatever. So if you really, if you really treat them well, like it's just being a human, it's just being nice, and like they're going to treat you back really well, you know?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I have a handful of US based team members, and the rest are international. And my core mission has always been treat them like team. Like the same way that you would treat somebody because I have a brick and mortar business too. So, you know, I'm used to working with people in person. Like the same way that you would treat someone in person is the way that you should treat them if they're on the other end of the screen. And it sounds like you've built up that loyalty as well. You know, does that play into how well people set appointments, their loyalty to you or to your, you know, customers? Like, does that play into how well they work for you?
It doesn't necessarily play into, it's kind of complicated. It doesn't necessarily play into how effective they are on the phone, for example, but it does play into, hey, James, Jemima called in sick today. I've got no one to phone the leads. I know it's your day off. Is there any way you can come in and help us out? Yeah, of course I can. No worries. Because like you have that connect, like, and then in turn that obviously makes a difference to the overall business. Obviously they're going to try harder. Like they are going to naturally, just even on the call, they're going to naturally have more energy. Like when you work for someone who you don't like you can't help it. You're subconsciously going to be like not trying to do well. Like it doesn't matter what you're getting paid. Like they're just not going to behave the best way. Where if they respect you and they like working for you, they are going to be happier on the calls, which is going to shine through, right? So it's not like a really black and white thing, but it's like a wave. It kind of it overall pushes you in the right direction.
Yeah. For sure. Well, let's dig into the actual appointment setting, following up on leads, all that. I know you've said before, most leads are not going to fill out your application right or fill out the lead form the best way. And a lot of people will blame marketing on why the leads are not setting appointments. But you said that it's not the leads that's the problem. It's usually the operator that is the problem, calling back these leads or waiting too long. What do you mean by that as far as actually getting these leads to book and show and all of that?
So to clarify, I don't think I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. So if a lead fills out the wrong information, if they don't put the right information in the form, then there's nothing you can do, right? Like that comes down to quality of the ads. That comes down to like if you're using things like Facebook lead forms autofill, right? You're going to get, oh, I've got a great cost per lead. It's like, yeah, you're using it's the horrible lead. Like, of course you've got a great cost per lead. And there's a difference between like a Facebook lead autofill and a lead that's answered a 10-question questionnaire on a funnel, right? Like that quality lead is so different. And that's a lot of times kind of, it's a bit of a sidetrack, but a lot of time people will ask me, hey man, I've got a 25% appointment booking rate. Like, is that good? I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know. It depends on so much because the lead quality itself plays a huge part on, like, some people have 100% booking rates. You know how? Because they don't let people submit opt-ins. They only let them book appointments. So like, do you get what I'm saying, right? So it really depends on the lead quality itself. But then going into like, if someone submitted the information, yeah, a lot of clinics, gyms, like whatever, whoever your clients are, if you're relying on them to phone the lead up, they're going to do it once or twice 3 days later, and they'll just say, oh, then no one's answering the phone. Oh, this goes to voicemail. And they don't understand. They just think that they're used to, if they haven't run ads before, they're used to warm leads. They're used to, if you're a gym, Jeremy, I keep using names with J's for some reason. Jeremy sends his friend Samantha, and then Samantha obviously is going to answer the phone because it's a referral. It's like they know you, they've heard about you, and then they think every lead is going to be like that with ads because their expectations aren't set right. And so my opinion is, rather than trying to argue with your client and twist their arm into phoning leads, which they don't even like doing anyway. So you're just making your service experience way worse because you're forcing them to do something they don't want to do. Then beyond that, it's like, if you just did it for them, they get better results and they have a better customer experience. And so that's what I'm saying, is where if you phone them for the client, then you're taking responsibility, and then you can control that whole piece. And that's the bit what I think is really important.
So what do you think if someone they go that route? They go ahead, they sign a client, they include appointment setting. What do you think are the most important elements that agency owner can do to actually make sure that those appointments show? Because you could book an appointment with, a fly on a wall, but how do you actually get those leads to show up for their client so that client continues to pay?
Yeah, and putting aside the things that most people know, right? Appointment reminders. I can do a whole list of like the technical stuff, right? Like obviously making sure you got appointment reminders, including like Google Map links, making sure that it's about people feeling comfortable. So first of all is that you want to make sure that the appointment setter has a genuine connection with the lead. So much so that the lead is like, I'm really looking forward to meeting Julie. She sounds really nice. I feel like there's like a real connection there. She really cared about me, not just someone just trying to book you an appointment, right? That's the thing. Most people book appointments, but then their show rate's terrible because they just don't build that connection. They don't go into pains properly. And then even beyond that, it's like, when you think of it from the client's point of view, most of them, especially if it's like a gym, I always use gym examples because obviously we work a lot with gym launch. Yeah. If someone is coming to a gym to lose weight, they're already feeling very uncomfortable, because it's a new thing for them. They're a bit unsure, right? All you sent them is an address and said, turn up at 10 a.m. It's like, okay, but in their mind, it's like, what's going to happen? Like, for example, I joined an MMA gym about a year and a half ago, and they don't do any ads there. You could probably help them there. They don't do anything. And I remember, like, I'm quite a confident guy, so it didn't bother me too much. But I went on their website. First of all, I attended one of the free sessions, and I phoned the guy up, and I was like, "Hey, no one's here." He was like, "Oh yeah, that's not on it. The website's old. That's not a thing anymore." I was like, "Okay, well, when should I turn up?" "Oh, come on Monday." "Okay, I'll come on Monday."
Wow.
Monday, I turn up, and there's the class is already in, right? I'm at the door, and I'm like, "Am I allowed to enter?" Because I don't know. Is it rude to enter while the class is going on? Like, I started. Obviously, I must have started a little bit too early. I was there on time. And then the guy saw me, he come out, he was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And I was like, "I think you're a gym, right? Can I join? How's this work?" And he went, "Oh yeah, come on." And he was really welcoming and really nice. But it felt very daunting to walk into this place. I don't know anyone, right? And it was just, it just felt quite uncomfortable. Now I love it. It's great. So going back to the example of the lead's a bit overweight. Maybe they haven't got the best confidence as it is. Imagine rather than just telling them, "Hey, turn up at this place at 10 a.m. You were like, "Hey, just so you know, John's going to meet you at reception. So when you get to reception at 10 a.m., ask for John. John's going to come around. He's going to meet you. He's going to take you here. And explains the whole thing." Instantly, they're like, "Oh, okay, I know who I'm meeting." And maybe even in the reminders, you want to send a picture of John. If John's the coach, get a selfie. It's super automated, right? Just get the John to take a selfie. Had that in the reminders. "Hey, Julie." Always Jay's. Why don't you do this? "Hey, hey, Julie. John here, super excited to see you at 10 a.m. Ask me at reception. I'll come meet you, blah, blah." Even things like parking information. "Hey, by the way, we've got loads of parking at the place. Feel free to turn up," whatever. One extra thing I'm kind of ranting a little bit now, but one extra thing I also started doing, which is quite nice, is asking before the end of the call, asking the lead, "Hey, by the way, how do you plan to get here? Do you have a car? Are you going to get a train? Are you busing it? What you plan to do?" And because if they "Oh, I don't know," then that's already a red flag. It's maybe even trying to objection handle that. It's "Oh, you don't have a car then?" Or what? And then talk them through it and help even plan their route, right? It's "Oh, I'm going to take the bus." It's "Okay, cool. Do you know which bus stop's closest to us?" Just make it as easy as possible for them to show. And then obviously, again, other tactical things, making sure you book the appointment as soon as you can. Give as much calendar availability as you can. I can dive into that in more detail if you want me to, but Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot.
No. These are all really great things that are very important when setting an appointment for any industry, whether it's gyms or, health, med spa, whatever. Just
Exactly.
having all those things in place are important. What do you think is something that maybe is a belief that the online agency world has when it comes to getting results for their clients that needs to be shifted in this industry?
Focusing on cost per lead way too much. They just think that if they get their clients' leads, then they're good to go, and they'll generate tons and tons of leads. And they're like, "Oh, great! I'm sick. I'm just killing it." Don't speak to the client because a lot of agency owners don't even have weekly check-in calls, which I think is crazy. And then like a month in, they get a message from the client, "Hey, I'm quitting," and they're just like, "What? Why? Like, I'm getting you. We got $6 leads." It's like, oh, come on. There's more to it than that, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is linking to the call center stuff. People think that hiring a VA and just telling them to go high level and phone leads is good enough. And that's like a call center.
Mm.
The analogy I use is like, imagine when you first started Facebook ads and learning Facebook ads, you just hired a random VA and said, "Hey, can you just run these ads?" And just like told them to run ads. It's like, it's never going to work. It never would have worked. And it's the same thing. And then people think that the call centers, it's just, yeah, they're the two main things. Like, that whole system.
So when you are looking for someone to hire as an appointment setter, what's the process that you recommend that people keep in mind for bringing someone in to make these calls?
Yeah, the first thing is it is just a volume game. Like, always make sure that you're getting the recording of the person before you even think about sending them an interview.
Mm.
Because otherwise you'll just jump on the call with people who their accent immediately isn't right, and you're like, and you've got to sit there for 15 minutes to be polite, right? Which you just don't want to do. So always recording, first of all. I even like to throw in some multiple choice questions, but what I'll do is I'll use like American slang or British slang or something like that, and I'll make a recording of myself asking a question but using some slang, and then be like, what would be the appropriate answer here? And it'd be A, B, or C, and I give the thing so that way then I know they've understood the actual question, and that means I know that their ability to obviously speak English is pretty good for them regions. And then things like obviously the internet speed test is an obvious one. A lot of this stuff, by the way, can be faked, right? So you want to make sure that use this as a starting point, but then when you actually get on the interview itself, test it again. So like I get them to like screen share, like, "Hey, can you do an internet speed test for me right now?" Because they could just go online and type in 350 megabyte internet speed test picture and just screenshot that. So you always want to make sure that when you're live on the call, then make sure they do it. And obviously, when you're on the call, speak fast, do whatever, like, so they can still understand you. Is their internet cutting in and out while you're on a Zoom call with them? I like to always look at their desk as well. I like to get them to take a picture of their desk. We've had some funny AI ones come through since ChatGPT is.
Really?
Yeah, we get some people like, it's like, how do they think that I'm not going to see this as AI? It's so clearly AI. It's like this beautiful desk. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, like the desk setup is really good because if someone will say they've got two monitors. This is a prime example, by the way. It's so funny. I got one the other day. CCM member sent this to me, actually. The person said they had two monitors. I always require two monitors because when you're doing like Slack, Go High Level, Dial, all that, it's too hard to have one monitor. So after two monitors, this person had their computer set up like a laptop, and then they had a TV like above them, like imagine like a presentation room, like a little laptop, a desk, and a TV, right? That's not two monitors. Like, how can you use that, right? So it's crazy. So I always ask for a picture of that because then I can start to see, and even just things like, is it organized? Is it clean? Like, if they're taking a picture of their desk and it's not clean, it's like you clearly don't care. Like, you just don't care. Like, everyone would tidy up their desk for. Even if I was to send a picture of my desk to my mum, like, I would still clean it up, make it look a little bit presentable.
Right.
They're the key things in terms of like technical stuff. Yeah.
Are you seeing the hiring process being harder now because AI is getting so good?
Yeah, like you definitely get more people coming through which aren't qualified. We used to get them to. I used to also have another thing which was like, please write a story about a baby elephant who got a pink giraffe for his birthday, right? And like, again, it tests their knowledge of English because they can't find that online. But now they can just copy that into ChatGPT and then bam, they can make a story up, right? So it's like, it is getting a lot harder with things like that. But ultimately, if people want to fake it, they would have faked it before anyway. I've had people submit recordings and then on the interview, I'm like, this is not, they're like, oh yeah, it was my sister. I'm like, right, thanks. Like, thanks for wasting everyone's time. Like, what was the point of this, right? So you've always got to be careful. That's why it's always good to have that human being actually filtering as well.
So you mentioned before that people need to have setters that create an emotional connection Is that just raw talent? Like you're finding these people that have that emotional connection, or is there a component of training that also makes them that type of person who can have that emotional connection?
Yeah, there's definitely a base level skill to it. If the person, a lot of it's culture, right? So it's like being able to understand the American culture, Australian culture, UK culture. So if they have no experience of like the US culture, then even things like jokes, like I'll hear sometimes an American will make a joke, which I understand, but the setter just doesn't get it at all, right? It's really hard to build connections in them in that sort of sense. But when it comes to like energy levels and just being like friendly, that can, a lot of people just don't realize that can just be trained, right? You can just keep having like role plays with them and giving them feedback, and over time they'll get better at it. But again, it all comes down to a baseline. Like you can't, if their baseline's so low already, it doesn't matter how much training you do, you can't really get them much higher. And it's like, again, with the voice recordings that I was just saying about, if someone on that voice recording is like, hey Jen, my name's Aaron, I'm just applying for the appointments there, like you're trying to get a job and that's your energy level. What's your energy level going to be like 3 months in when you're like sick and tired of doing appointment setting? Like it's going to be hot. Like what the hell? So again, like you always want to make sure their base level is good, but it's a training. It's a mix. It's a mix to both of it.
So when it comes to training, I know for what we do, we have this method and this process. We don't stop training. We're always training. Do you feel that a lot of agency owners, it's hard for them to get into that mindset of never ending training with their team?
Yep, everyone does it. Everyone will train them to begin with, and I do this as well. The appointment setter will start doing well, and they're working well, and then they're like, "Oh, great! I'll do other things." And then a month later, appointments are dropping, and they're like, "Why the hell? What's going on?" They listen to the calls and like, "What the hell's the whole thing?" I did this recently with one of my sales guys. He was closing loads, and I had a load of other fires I had to put out. So I was like, "Cool, like we don't need to really have many calls at the moment. You keep doing your thing. It's all working well." And I listened to one of his calls the other day, and I was like, mate, like, what are you, like, you're not following this, like, what are you doing? This is not this isn't right. Like, we know this isn't right. And I said to him, I was like, this is on me. Like, I should have, even the best footballer, basketball player, like everyone needs coaches. Even if you go, like, you might be the best strongman in the world. You might have the best gym, the best form at the gym, right? But over time, like you start to develop these weird habits, like even with like mixed martial arts, like the way you do certain routines and certain exercises and stuff like that, like you're going to start slipping things up. If you're trying to get a submission on someone, you're going to start doing it slightly wrong, and then that bad habit leads, and then all of a sudden you're doing the completely wrong thing, and you're like, wait, hold on, what's going on? And you need a coach to be like, hey, point this out. So it's not like my sales guy is better at sales than me. It does get a bit difficult sometimes because like I'm telling him what to do, but I know he's better than me, and so it's like kind of this bit of an awkward thing. But it's like, again, I'm just the coach. I'm not supposed to be better than him. I'm just supposed to be pointing out the things I know he's doing wrong. And yeah, so you always want to make sure you're doing some sort of training. I've obviously got a team now that do quality assurance and do the training for me with team follow-ups. But you do need someone constantly, like every week, listening to calls, giving people on the right track.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that about always having a coach. You know, with martial arts being my background as well, like that's always been so important, especially at a competitive level, always having a coach or different coaches to be able to help with different form, you know, a wrestling coach, a jiu-jitsu coach, a striking coach, a strength and conditioning coach, just all these different types of coaches to really help you become the athlete that you need to be. But what's interesting is that you don't always have to have a coach that is an expert level fighter in order to become an expert level fighter. You need the coach that specializes in that area or that can see things that you can't see.
Exactly.
Is that something, you know, with call center mastery, like are you coaching agency owners? Tell everybody a little bit more about what you're doing for agency owners. I think that would probably be helpful to this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So just as a quick kind of history to that. So like I was saying, my story, how I've got to here. So when I was running team follow-up. I still run team follow-up to this day. That's the white label call center piece. But what I found was that a lot of my clients were asking me, hey man, this is great, but I'm so dependent on your setters to get booked appointments. Can you teach me how to build this in-house? And to begin with, I was like, no. And it just got to the point I got so many of these requests. And I also joined another program where the guy was selling info and he was making a lot more money than me and it's selling information, right? And I was just like, I'm managing like 60, 70 setters here. Maybe I could do this thing and see how it goes. And it might be a lot easier to run, right? And so I took on a few. Obviously, you were one of the clients, right? One of the beta clients in it, and yeah, yeah. Thanks for the help. You guys did great. And so did that, and I just realized that, oh my God, this is actually so much more powerful if I show people how I've done this. Because rather than one of my setters, which is being split between gym launch, then it's being put on a med spa account, it's being put on a roofing account, and being all these different areas, you can have one setter who's focused on your script and your niche and just become experts at that thing. And it's just way more effective for everyone. So that's what I do now. So I have a whole program laid out to teach agency owners how to hire, the systems, the reporting, like everything around call centers. And basically I just get way more booked appointments. And every business I've started in the past, it's always been like hit and miss. Like some clients get results, some clients don't, whatever else. This is the first time where I'm like genuinely so confident in what me and my team have built just from the feedback that I get. It's just been incredible. Yeah, if you're an agency owner, you'd help with call center stuff. That's what I can do.
Yeah, it really simplified a lot of what we were trying to do. Because when I got into this initially and setting appointments for our clients, gosh, I think it was 21, maybe 22 when I first started doing it. And there was not a lot of information, especially if you're using a platform like Go High Level. There wasn't a whole lot of information around that. So it was literally taking a system that worked in a brick and mortar business where I had people that were sitting at a desk doing phone calls, and I was taking that online. And then I was hiring people from outside of the States to do this job, for my brick and mortar. So that's when we started really leaning into it, but it was just very chaotic. Is there something that you think is important for agency owners to realize when they build out their call center? Maybe because they just don't understand. It's not going to be easy, but it's not also going to be so complex that you can't get it. Like what are some things maybe that agency owners need to realize about call centers that just isn't available online for most people to see and understand?
The biggest thing is it comes down to, there's so many things, but like the biggest thing is it's like expectations, right? It's like telling your team, it's a very human dependent machine, the call center, right? So, and obviously people will talk about AI and that's a whole other beast, which is a bit wishy-washy. But if you say to, for example, your team, hey, I need you to phone these leads as soon as they come in, that's not a clear expectation. That's just, and then they'll blame the setter and be like, you're not phoning leads fast enough. You're not setting clear boundaries here. You're just like, there's no real systems or anything. You're just hoping that the person can just go into Go High Level and know who to call. There's no real machine. That's the big thing, is like having an actual like machine that is very scientific, right? It's black and white. So for example, like when a lead comes in, you making it clear to your setter, they've got to phone all leads within 5 minutes. If they don't phone within 5 minutes, they need to tag you and tell you why a lead wasn't phoned within 5 minutes. And setting very clear expectations and boundaries. When it comes to things like phoning leads beyond that first phone call, right? So if a lead's came through, you tried to phone them, they didn't answer. What's the follow-up cadence look like? It's not a case of just saying, hey, make sure you keep phoning them, make sure you keep phoning these leads. What does that mean? Like what, 5 times a day, twice a day, 100 times a day? Like what am I supposed to be doing? So having a system where, for example, like the GHL Power Dialer or a third-party dialer or something like that, where you can set it up where it automatically knows, right, okay, this lead's been in the dialer for this long, so we're gonna phone that lead. And all the setter's got to do then is go to the dialer, click ring, and then the system automatically filters out who should be phoning. You want to make it as simple as possible for your setters with very clear boundaries. That's like the key thing.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think that's maybe something, if you haven't run a business before and you're trying to get this off the ground with a call center, if you're not coming at it from that perspective, you're just trying to figure out how to do all this at one time, you might say those things and set those wide expectations, thinking that that person is going to treat your business the same way you treat your business.
Exactly.
That's very far from the truth.
Exactly.
When it comes to that line with the client saying, hey, you're booking lots of appointments, but they're not showing up. What's the show rate expectation that you should be giving a client? And does that vary by industry?
It varies. I wouldn't say it varies by industry. It more varies by, obviously, deposits. If you're taking deposits, that's a completely different thing, right? But I would say like what I see is a decent show rate without deposits and just obviously phoning leads up from ads, usually about 50%. If you can get 50% of people that you book appointments for, and it sounds low, even when I say it now, it sounds low, but that's usually what I see. And when I say good, like that's like not good, but it's like the minimum. 50% is like what you should be getting, right? Obviously anything more than that, I've seen some get 80%, 90%. It really depends, but yeah, 50% is like the minimum, I'd say. That sometimes the other thing you got to be careful of is not to fall for the trap of thinking that every location is the same. So different locations have different arrangements, are easier to find. Even things like Google reviews. Like a lot of people booking an appointment, like they see something online, right? They put their information in, they get phoned. They're going to book the appointment because they want to be polite. And as long as your set has done a good job building a connection, they're like, okay, cool. But then afterwards, they'll get the confirmation email come through and they'll be like, oh, before I actually go, let me actually check out this company. They go online and they see like on the Google, like, what do you call it? Business thing. Yeah. Permanently closed or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, they're probably not going to show. They're like, this is a bit sketch. What the hell is this about, right? Or if they see like bad reviews or if it's not clear where it is, or maybe even things like going back to the lead situation and like how good the lead is. But what a lot of agency owners will do is they will expand their ads radius to try and keep cost per lead down. So they'll start doing 15 miles, 20-mile radius. And then when you're a gym, like if someone's 20 miles away, they're probably not going to attend your classes 3 times a week. And they know that. And so like when they finally go to Google Maps to put in plan where they're going, 45-minute drive or no, whatever it is, they're probably just not going to turn up. So yeah, it's again depends on a lot of other things, but yeah, it doesn't really depend on the niche itself. It's more about the locations and their reviews and that kind of stuff.
So basically, how that business actually performs in real life really impacts the show rate of those clients. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and even that there are we've had some gyms before where we just couldn't get their show rate good. Like we had one gym in Vegas, they were getting like a 5% show rate. And or like 10% show rate, and we like me and the gym launch team, like we couldn't figure it out. We were trying everything, and it comes down to like just some locations, like as much as I don't want to like admit defeat, some locations just struggle with it. Like it doesn't matter what you do, they just get terrible show rates, and I've still not discovered the answer to some of them. I just don't know. Yeah. So look at your clients on average. Don't like obviously you want to make sure every client's get results, but there are some clients that are buzzing over a 30% show rate because normally they're getting 10%, and that you've gotten to 30%. Like this is amazing. Where some clients you getting 30%, they'll be quitting the next week, right? The other quick thing to that as well is like obviously the expectation of the client needs to be really well set. If the client's expecting everyone to show and they're not, like that's actually worse than even booking an appointment because they're taking time out of their day. They've attended the gym to speak to someone, and after 4 no-shows, they get pretty pissed off and they blame you. So don't even be afraid to do like double bookings, right? Like if you see that you've got a 50% show rate, double book people in and then just say to the client, hey, there might be 2 people at once. Is that an issue? Like most of the time it's not. They're just shining around the gym. Who cares? Or shining in the med spa or whatever. So yeah, like that kind of stuff can work as well.
Yeah. It's been quite interesting, with the hundreds of clients that we've worked with in the martial arts and music and dance space and like all of those other things. It really makes a huge difference how that business has been perceived in the public, how long they've even been in existence. If it's a brand new business and it doesn't have all of those things like what you were talking about, people may be more leery to take time out of their day to go show up to a place that they've never heard of before. I mean, that takes a lot of, you mentioned walking into that MMA gym and you actually made it through, but how many other people never actually joined because of the experience of that gym,
It's crazy. Yeah. And even with things like, I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, damn. I'm sure it'll come back to me. Yeah, it was, I've forgotten it. Sorry. Damn. Just in my head.
No worries. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, what would be a piece of advice, like if we were to say, okay, the person who's watching this, the agency owner is now convinced, okay, I'm not going to get my clients to follow up on their leads. I'm going to build a call center. I'm going to phone these leads or hire people to phone these leads. Is there a particular order that they need to start building out? I mean, obviously they could come to you and could get some help there, but big building blocks. What are those big building blocks for them to take action on this information?
I would, if they're just like, it depends on what stage of agency they're in. So if they're like doing 50K, 100K a month and they've got the resources to hire someone and that kind of thing, then obviously you start at different levels. But if you're like at 10K a month, like most of the time it'd be a case of just starting the call, like doing the calling yourself. Do the calling yourself and just like build out a basic SOP, even if it's just you doing it. Build out a basic SOP explaining what you're doing and just follow your own SOP. Then it becomes easy when you hire someone just to come in and just swap the person over, right? But the main thing, like how I do it, is reporting, systems, humans. So it's like, sorry, no, that's the wrong way around. systems reporting humans, I mean. So systems, that's obviously important, because if you haven't got the systems, then there's nothing to even run, right? Like a lot of people will skip the systems, they'll skip the reporting, they'll just hire someone. And that's a bit I was talking about earlier. They'll hire someone and go, hey, you just run just call people, right? That's not a system. There's no real clear thing there. So you want the system first that someone can actually operate, the machine essentially. Then you want the reporting that actually reports on the system. So how well is the system working? If you don't have a system, but you might have reporting, the problem with that is that you get such variables changing all the time, right? You get like such variability, you could call it, because you haven't got an actual structure you're following. So when things change in the reporting, you're like, oh, it just doesn't make sense. So yeah, systems reporting. And then obviously in that time, I'd be running it myself. And then at that point, you can then hire someone to then start operating the system and the reporting.
Do you think that we're to the point where it's not even worth going this route because AI automation is just taking over everything? I mean, it's the new buzzword in the agency space, AAA agencies, AI automation. Like, what's your thoughts around AI?
Yeah, it definitely won't take over. And people will laugh at me for saying that. They'll like, yeah, it will. Like, the thing about it is that, and by the way, like I'm not biased towards, because like the program I've built helps agencies with call centers. So if AI really does become the new thing and it's like amazing and it's incredible, I will just pivot into teaching people how to implement AI with humans. I can just pivot very easily. So I'm not saying this just because I want to, like, I'm trying to like protect my business or anything like that, just so everyone's aware.
Yeah.
I'm being honest about it. So the thing about the AI is that at the moment, it's not good enough to build that connection like I was talking about. So everyone always flexes their booking rates when it comes to, oh, my AI got a 40% booking rate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, what was the show rate? Like, I'm really curious to know what the show rate is, because the show rate's going to be terrible, because of the fact that people aren't able to build that real connection with them. And it's just, and a lot of people like, it feels a bit funny. Like, people will book the appointment, but they can kind of tell it's something's not right there, right? So that just ruins the show rate. The other thing is when it comes down to the laws that are going to be in place, like the US is already, they haven't made it a law yet, but they've already kind of proposed anytime you have an AI caller calling someone, they have to declare it's AI immediately. So that's like gonna just, and then as the AI gets really, really good, like people will just really crave that human connection. And obviously maybe in like 5-10 years, people laugh at me for saying 5-10 years. When AI becomes absolutely indistinguishable to humans, which I think will be 5-10 years,
yeah,
then that's when like, okay, that's when like, yeah, fine. Like, it makes sense because the AI can do even better jobs than humans, and there's no time delay, like the tone of voice, everything can be constantly changing. Then fine, great. But at that point, like I said, the US government, whoever it is, they're going to be putting laws in place because people are going to be absolutely wrecking this technology. They're going to be spamming it constantly. So there's going to be laws in place where they have to declare it's AI, and it will get to a point where people will just go, "Are you AI? Hang on." It'll just be that over and over because people want to feel like you're actually making an effort to speak with them. If someone turns up at your house and hands you something compared to just send you an email, like you're going to feel way more like, oh, thanks, like I appreciate you sending me, like giving me that, you know?
yeah.
And that's what people want to. It's like when I watch ads sometimes. Like if I feel like someone's made a load of effort in an ad, I'm like, I'm more likely to actually like consider opting in because I'm like, they obviously care about me. Like, not I don't care about me, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they care about my opt-in. Where someone's just like some boring ad or something, I'm like, they haven't even thought about it. Or even like cold DM messages. Like that's actually a way better example. Cold DMs.
Yeah.
If someone's like, hey Jen, I watched this video, links your video, I love this bit, I love that bit, and like they're really like custom to you, I'll always reply to them. If someone's like, you know, the usual BS like cold DM opener, it's like you roll your eyes.
Your YouTube or your Instagram.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
book a call. Like,
yeah, exactly. Or they're like, I love your content.
yeah, that's a great
Great.
answer.
Also, like, I definitely, you don't even reply to them because they haven't made an effort. You don't care. It's gonna be the same thing with AI.
Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. And here's the other thing that I see too that's huge. And I think it's because I have one foot in, I'll just call it the real world, and then I have one foot in this digital world. I was at a Bible study where they were actually talking about people live in two different places now. They live in their geographical location and they live in a digital location, right? And so it overlays these two things. They were just, relating that back to like, as Christians, you got to be able to be in both those worlds, not be like, oh, I can't dive into the digital realm and I can only live over here. But it's quite interesting that local business owners don't even realize that this world of digital exists. Like they're oblivious to it. A lot of your mom and pop main street businesses, they have no idea. Like when I try to tell people sometimes, like, oh, what do you do? And like, we'll have a portfolio of companies. Some of them are brick and mortar. Some of them are online digital. Oh, so you like sell a few things online? And I'm like, well,
Bit
it's a
more than that.
little bit different than that. Like it's an online agency. And they're like, oh, like websites and stuff. It's
I don't even bother trying to tell people what I do. I'm just like, it's very niche. You won't get it. Like, just some people was like, no, try me, and I'm like, I start making stuff up at this point. I'm just like, yeah, I sell socks from China. I just make some BS up now because it's just too difficult to, especially if someone's like in that situation where they don't even like when you say to them, yeah, I run like an online agency, and they're like, oh, what do you like Facebook ads? It's like, and they're like, oh, so you do website? It's like, yeah, I do website.
yeah, all of those things. Yeah. Yeah. But the interesting thing, kind of where I was going with this is that there's there's still a lot of fear. Like people are seeing, especially if you get the older, maybe 40s and up, 50s and up or whatever group, and maybe they're only watching mainstream media and they don't understand how AI works. So the only thing they think is Terminator. And they're like, oh, I don't want AI. Like there's still a lot of resistance with the vast majority of people who own businesses that online marketers are going to be serving. Because if you think about the average age of a local business owner, it's not a 20-year-old. It's somebody who's put in years of hard work, probably graduated from college, has a family, and this is their livelihood. That's the person that you're marketing to. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier pill to swallow when you're like, oh yeah, we're going to have somebody actually call your leads instead
That's
of,
a good point. I haven't thought about that before. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
very good point. Because yeah, I think you said it really well. Yeah, it's a good point.
So, do you recommend at all? And I think I know the answer, but we'll just kind of go here since we're talking about AI. Do you recommend any portion of AI helping your call center, like getting the initial conversation going, maybe via text, or like, is there any room for AI and humans to work together?
Texting is great. Texting is really, really good. I would definitely recommend everyone sign up for we use Closebot. Closebot's really, really powerful. Anything like that where it can like text the leads, because like that is literally indistinguishable. That's better than the humans because it's just texting. So it's like if there's like a minute delay, a 30-second delay between texts, that's normal. Like that people expect that. So the AI is incredible at that. It's just the voice stuff is the bit that I'm not fully sold on.
Yeah, yeah. That's going to be interesting how it evolves over time for sure. How technology, yeah, how it feeds in and even the augmentation that we're able to have. Like maybe it's not full AI, but AI being able to just be that help that we need in all aspects for businesses and I'm sure in the call center as well. So Arin, somebody wants to reach out to you, they want to get in touch with you, maybe they want to learn more about building out a call center. What's the easiest, fastest way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I post regularly on Instagram. So my Instagram handle, I don't know if you can put them
Yeah,
down
we'll put it in the
below.
show
Yeah,
notes.
okay. So Instagram handle down below. My YouTube, I'm trying to get better at that. So I'll be putting more videos on YouTube. Post usually once every couple of weeks usually. And then I've got a free school group. I've got my pay school group, but I've got a free school group which has got a bunch of really good. So if you're like just starting out and you're not sure about the call center stuff and whatever, you can join the free school group. I say it's free. It's $1 a month because I kept getting bots joining and like spamming people. So it's $1 a month. If that's puts you off, I'm sorry. But yeah, $1 a month, free-ish is what I call it. And so that gives you a bunch of resources, and obviously you can ask questions in there. I can reply. I see it all. I reply to things. So yeah, Instagram, YouTube, school. That's the best place.
Awesome. Arin, thanks so much for being on Making Millions. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jen. Appreciate you. It's been great.